Wow. Wow. What a game we just saw tonight, bro. What a game. How we doing, y'all? All right. So what just happened? The Indiana Pacers got up 20 in game 3 and they lost. All right, that's the video. Peace. No, I'm kidding. But no, in the first half, the New York Knicks looked as lackadaisical as they came. I mean, Jalen throwing bad passes, Karl Towns picking up really bad fouls. Um, they like whenever they tried cutting a dent into the lead, for some reason they tried cutting a dent into the lead, but for some reason they kept on turning the ball over or taking really bad shots. I mean, Karl Towns for a majority of the game took very questionable shots, and he ended up with 4 points within the first 3 quarters. Jalen Brunson ended up picking up 4 fouls, and a couple of them were kind of dumb fouls on his end. And obviously, there was a unsuccessful challenge which made Jalen pick up his 5th foul. And then Mikal Bridges kept him in the game. OG Anunoby kept him in the game. But here's the thing that I noticed. I knew the Pacers were going to be in a boxing match with this Knicks team as soon as, they had everything going for them. The crowd's rocking. They got up 20 early, like I think it was like during the second quarter, and it just felt like, they're going to win this game. They have this series wrapped up. So, shoot, they broke their will. They found a way. But here's what Tibbs did that I really, really liked, and I think we need to see more of that going forward. Not only in this series, but potentially if they get out of this round, they should do it in the series against either Oklahoma City or the Timberwolves. Which, by the way, a little side note, I didn't watch Game 3 last night, but I heard OKC got dominated by Ant and the Wolves. I'll tune in probably tomorrow if I had to make an episode, but probably not, because work has kind of kept me busy a little bit, so I didn't catch Game 3. But the thing that I like from Coach Tibbs, I've been criticizing, and me and a lot of NBA fans have been criticizing him for not putting his bench guys in the game. He's relying on a 7-8 man rotation, which in this series, it kind of didn't really make sense because Indiana's playing like 10 guys and they want to run. I said it in game 1. I didn't make a video on game 2 because I wanted to wait until like game 3. But I have to feel like I have to make this another emergency episode. I feel like every Knicks game, bro, I have to make this an emergency series, emergency videos in the middle of my series recap, season 3. But this has been a special season. Thanks to every single one of y'all that have been tuning in. But the one thing I do like from Coach Tibbs is that he inserted 2 guys, DeLon Wright and Landry Shamet. DeLon, when he got drafted by Toronto in 2015, ironically, that's the same draft class with Karl Towns, D Book, Miles Turner, and I think TJ was part of that draft class, TJ McConnell, and then Bobby Portis and Kelly Oubre. DeLon was drafted as a defensive guard from the University of Utah. Obviously, LA kid too. Shout out to LA kid. And his brother Jarrell was pretty good with teams like Golden State and the Heat and such. But DeLon, when he came in, he was a spark of energy on the defensive end. I feel like the key when DeLon started to key in on guys like Halliburton and Nembhard, DeLon was a disruptor. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's why the Bucks got him last offseason, because they felt like they needed to bolster their defense and they felt like DeLon was going to give them a spark. But Doc Rivers put DeLon in the doghouse. Tibbs, for the majority of the season and these playoffs, he put DeLon in the doghouse. But once he played him, you saw a lot of energy, effort, and grit. It ain't going to show up on the box score, for sure. But y'all got to remember that guys like DeLon Wright, and I kind of wish the Lakers had these type of players. We need those impact guys. We had a guy like that in Alex Caruso, where, yeah, the stats ain't going to say much, but when he came in the game, good to great things happen. Now, I'm not going to say DeLon Wright's the game changer, but he was a difference maker tonight. Landry Shamet, I have been pounding on the table for a good while. I've been telling my dad this. Why don't the Knicks play Landry Shamet? Because I've seen Landry Shamet have great games, especially in the playoffs. He's hit big shots with the LA Clippers. I saw what he did in that 31-point comeback when he played next to Pat Beverly and Lou Williams and Montrezl Harrell. I saw what he did with the Phoenix Suns playing next to Devin Booker and Chris Paul, and then a half a season with KD when Phoenix made the trade. Ironically, they traded Mikal, who's on the Knicks and who is now in the conference finals, for KD. You know what I'm saying? So what that's why I really liked. I feel like Tibbs needs to expand his bench rotation, because the one thing I've always criticized Tibbs for is he is very over reliant on his 7-man rotation. Now that you put those two in, it gives the Indiana Pacers a different look, because now they're not really on the scouting report. Now, another thing that really stuck out to me was this morning I looked at an update, and Tibbs and the coaching staff, and I read like a report saying Tibbs and the coaching staff were really going to consider, they were really going to consider inserting Mitch Robinson in the starting lineup, which, excuse me, whew, damn. But yeah, so a lot of people were questioning Mitch Robinson being in the starting lineup with Karl Towns because of A, the transition defense, and B, how are they going to defend the front line? Well, I don't want to say how they're going to defend the front lines of Siakam and Turner. How are they going to defend the runouts with two bigs on the floor? Especially since Pascal and Miles, they can run with the best of them too, especially with this Indiana offense. So, and I told my mom and dad this. It reminded me of, and a little story time. I don't want to get too off track. It reminded me of when my Dodgers were down 2-1 against the series, in the series against the San Diego Padres. But Dave Roberts in Game 4, he did a similar type of thing that Tibbs is doing, where if you guys are baseball fans, y'all know exactly what I'm talking about. Dave Roberts put in a lineup, or he didn't put in a lineup. He he decided to use his bullpen, rotate his bullpen. That's what I'm trying to say. I don't know why I'm struggling to get it out. Dave decided to rotate his bullpen to give guys like Fernando Tatis Jr., Jerkson Profar, and a couple other studs on the Padres. I forgot their names. To give that lineup for the Padres a different look. Let them think twice about their offense, and we came back and won the series, and eventually won the World Series. Now I'm not gonna go as far as to say this lineup is gonna help them win the NBA Finals, but I feel like they found something, especially defending the two bigs, because OG and Towns are getting burned by Pascal and Miles Turner. I understand OG and Siakam were teammates with Toronto, and so they're very familiar with each other's game. But the problem is Pascal's dominating OG with his size, and because of the fact they switch a lot. So hey man, Tibbs ended up looking like a major genius today, so he's going to get no slander from me as a result. Props to him. But if you're the Pacers, this was a chance to really put your foot on their necks, and you were doing it for a majority of the game. But Charles Barkley said it best. They played a terrible, terrible second half, bro. The ball stopped moving, and now they were doing some of the things that New York did in the first half, and to a certain extent, there were parts of the second half where it's like Karl Towns. I'm like, bro, what the hell are you doing? Mikal, what are you doing? OG Anunoby, what are you doing? You know what I'm saying? Like Brunson pulling up to try to tie the game. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on, bro. Indiana's IQ just decreased as things were starting to get tight. And in the middle of the third quarter, I was scratching my head. I'm like saying, like, even though Indiana's starting to make their shots, they were still making their shots. The Pacers weren't really up by much, at least by today's standards, because being up 26 doesn't mean anything. I mean, look, I covered this a month ago, covering the OKC and the Grizzlies. A 29-point lead means nothing because Memphis was up 29 in their home building. They ended up losing by 6, and obviously they bowed out with a first round sweep on that Saturday afternoon or Sunday afternoon, whatever. But they were up 13, and I'm just like, is it just me, or does it feel like Indiana should be leading by a lot more? Because if 20 was their biggest lead, and you have guys like DeLon Wright coming in making energy plays, Mikal Bridges making shots, OG Anunoby letting you back in the game. Some tells me that this is not going to end well for Indiana because there's no way you do not build on what you have with a 20-point lead, bro. They let the Knicks hang around because for some reason they got too happy, they got too comfortable, they stopped playing defense for whatever reason. So Shaq and Charles were like, "Look, the Pacers beat themselves," which they did. They did. I'm rooting for the Knicks to win the series, and again, I don't. But at the same time, I don't mind Tyrese Halliburton and the boys making it to the finals. But they beat themselves. But because of that, well, shouldn't that mean New York had to capitalize on some of the things that Indiana didn't do? That's what they did. And the thing I didn't really like though either is once Jalen got back in the game, I don't know why Indiana didn't attack him. I don't know why Indiana didn't attack Karl Towns with 5 fouls. I want to touch on Karl Anthony Towns real quick, but let me get this out the way. Why didn't the Pacers keep on attacking Jalen nor Cat? You know they have 5 fouls. Go at them. Really put pressure on the Knicks. Put doubt in their minds, even though it's a close game. Put doubt in their minds that they're going to win the game because they had all the momentum at that point. A foul on Karl Towns or Jalen Brunson or both deflates the Knicks' momentum entirely, and Indiana can feel really, really good about closing the series. But they didn't. But going back to my part, or the point I was going to make about Karl Anthony Towns, Karl Towns was the worst basketball player out on that floor for the first 3 quarters. But he rose and shone, man. Karl Towns rose and shone. He hit timely threes, timely baskets. Y'all see on my screen, he posterized the hell out of Andrew Nembhard to give them the lead and officially give New York momentum for good, bro. That was just a great yo. It kind of reminded me of Jason Tatum in that game 6 in Philadelphia. They were down 3 games to 2. Philly started off bad, but they looked like they were about to assert control of the game, and then Jason Tatum hits a step back 3 in Joel Embiid's face. And then he scored 13 more points after that said 3 ball. It was the same thing with Karl Towns. Karl Towns ended the game with 24 points and 15 rebounds. And then once Jalen got back in the game, Jalen scores a floater. And I also want to give some love to Deuce McBride. I know he's Deuce McBride, but I like calling him Deuce because, I don't know. I like calling him Deuce. But his impact on the floor to help Jalen get some timely rest. Obviously, I'm crediting DeLon and Landry as well. But Deuce McBride hit timely buckets. He too hit timely shots. He actually forced a jump ball, which they won too. Landry Shamet, DeLon Wright, Karl Towns, Mikal Bridges, OG Anunoby, those guys, I'm not discrediting Jalen, but those guys made momentum shifting plays. I think that was the difference. Because of the fact they gave Indiana, the Knicks with this new rotation of players gave Indiana a different look. You know what I'm saying? It relinquished everything Indiana was trying to do, and especially what they did to them in the first half. So now, what the hell is going to be the trajectory for the rest of the series, bro? Obviously, Indiana is in a must-win. Indiana has to win Game 4 to at least put pressure back on the Knicks. Obviously, I have the Knicks win Game 5 regardless, but these next 2 games are pivotal for Indiana. Game 4 especially, because I think Game 5, regardless of if they win Game 4 or not, I think New York wins that game easily and handily. But Indiana has 3 chances to close the show. If you can't win Game 4, then you have a chance to win Game 5, but I don't think you're going to win Game 5. You're going to have to win Game 6 in your building in Indianapolis, all things considered. Because if you go up 3-2 against this Knicks team, whether that's going up 3 games to 1 or, the Knicks win Game 4 but y'all win Game 5, y'all going to need to close the show in game 6 because you are I do not believe. And yes, I understand what you did game 4 versus Milwaukee. I understand what you did games 1, 2, and 5 against the Cleveland Cavaliers, and I understand what you did the first 2 games of this series. But a game 7 in New York feels way different than a game 5 in Cleveland. Feels way different than games 1 and 2 in New York City. It feels different than game 4 in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. You do not want to leave anything to chance because of the fact, by going to a game 7 when you didn't need to. You have 3 opportunities to close it out. You have an opportunity to get up 3-1. You have an opportunity to steal game 5. And if you end up being in a 3-2 series with y'all being in the favor, you need to win game 6. You are not going to win game 7 in New York City. I'm sorry. If you do, I'll kindly eat my words. But the way this series is going, right now, New York feels like, dang, man, we could actually win the series, bro. We can actually win the series. So, I want to touch on a little bit of Tyrese Halliburton. Tyrese, he's a bad man. I've been telling my dad that, Tyrese, he can be overrated at times, but I've been knocking on the door. I don't want to say I've been knocking on the door, but I've been vouching for him. I've been saying he's a bad man. He's shown it multiple times in these playoffs against Milwaukee, against Cleveland. I've been saying he's a bad man. But Halliburton, for his standards, did not show up when his team needed him the most. He only had 20 and 7. But some of the shots that he missed, and he didn't even look to shoot the ball. The last few possessions that Indiana had, Tyrese did not look to shoot the ball, man. He did not look to shoot the ball. And the rebounding's got to be better for Indiana. I think Reggie Miller pointed this out in the TNT to start the game. Tyrese has to be way better than he was tonight because 20 and 7, that'll surpass you in a game 1 versus the Bucks. It'll surpass you in a game 5 versus in a game in a game 41 on a Tuesday night versus the Washington Wizards. That will suffice. But against this team in this stage of the postseason, that stuff ain't gonna fly, man. Aaron Nesmith also having an ankle injury kind of derailed a lot of Indiana's physicality because Aaron Nesmith, I don't care what y'all say, bro. I know Nemhard, but Aaron Nesmith is their most physical defender out on that floor, bro. He simply is. So once he rolled his ankle, he got back to the locker room. I thought Indiana lost a little bit of their physicality and their toughness on that end. Now, Pacers are full of tough guys, but Aaron Nesmith is their toughest defender. And once he went back to the locker room, even though he did come back in, the physicality and toughness was not the same once he got off the floor. Miles Turner and Siakam have to be better on the boards. Y'all got to combine 8 rebounds. 8 rebounds. Mitch Robinson out-rebounded you. Josh Hart out-rebounded y'all. Karl Towns is the leading rebounder with 15. So Miles and Siakam, y'all got to be much better than this, bro. Y'all got to be much better than this. Their leading rebounder is Nesmith with 7. So, long story short, and I'm going to try to make this video under 20 minutes, so I'll talk as fast as I can, hopefully. What can go wrong will go wrong, and everything went wrong for the Pacers after they got up 20. But if you're New York, there's a lot of hope, and there's a lot of games left to be played. And I've been harping on this. I did not say the series was over. I just said they had their work cut out for them in that after my game 1 coverage. The reason why I say that is y'all gotta look at what they did the first 3 games against Detroit, first three road games against Detroit, where they won games 3, 4, and 6, albeit those 3 games had controversial officiating at the end. I'll take that. I'll take that in consideration. But they also snuck into Boston Garden, and I made a video about this 2-3 weeks ago about how they snatched the Celtics' souls. They won games 1 and 2 in Boston Garden. Their only road loss was that game 5 in TD Garden. So I did have a little doubt, but I didn't stop believing in the Knicks entirely because I've seen what they do on the road. They're a great road team, and they're much better on the road than people are giving them credit for. So if I'm Indiana, in Game 4, y'all gotta be really freaking careful, because if you're not careful, the Indiana Pacers will steal a game on your home floor once again, and I think they know this. I don't want to say trust me, because obviously I'm not in the NBA, but a 2-2 series is different than a 2-0 series. OKC to an extent too, but it's more so the Timberwolves game to win more than it is the Thunder's game, because they always have Game 5 in their house. But Indiana's got to be careful, because now you just gave them life. And now you're starting to mess around and be cute, which this ain't the time for that. So I don't know what else to say, man. I just want to come on here real quick and give my, I guess, post-game analysis. It's going to be in the series recap series, but this is not a series recap episode. Let me tell y'all this right now. Outside of the finals will be, because again, I'll be splitting that first 2 games, next 2 games, and then at the rest of the series, like at the end of the series, whether it be like games, um, yeah, 5, 6, and 7. If it should be that long, then that'll be the final episode of series recap this year. This stuff like this is not a series recap episode. So it's just like, emergency episodes, which again, I've been creating so many emergency episodes for the Knicks. But shout out to the Knicks. They responded. They punched first. Well, they didn't punch first, but they swung back, and they changed up their physicality and their defense, especially putting DeLon in, and Mitch Robinson being in there for key timely moments as well. Deuce McBride even. But yeah, they earned this win tonight, and now we gotta see if they can do it again in game 4. But we gotta see if the Pacers can respond and punch back and win Game 4 on their home floor as well. Because again, a 2-2 series feels different from a 2-0 series, because now it's just like you're losing momentum as the games go on. Okay, so I'm definitely done rambling for the night. I'm gonna let all y'all go. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this emergency episode in the middle of my series recap series. Again, I'm having a blast being back on YouTube and covering the playoffs and such. So, and I'm gonna be uploading some like gameplay videos as well during the off season. I'm just gonna let y'all know right now. But it's been fun, and this has been a fun series so far. First 3 games have been epic, so I can't wait to wrap this series up entirely. So until then, that's the end of this video. I'm X. Deuces.